I don't know why I can't get, maybe let me try this. Okay, here. I think we would all agree that artificial intelligence moving to AGI, and now we got the Turing machines down there, the conscious Turing machines, is a revolution like fire, like electricity, like the internet. I mean, it's big. And what I wanted to do is focus in on, an homage to Tommaso, really on the next slide, is focus in on something, on a few of these, just to see how long things take. You know, and if we look at the steam engine, it took a long time to make an impact on the economy. This is part of a deck I've been working on with Betsy Stevenson on the economic impacts of AI. And so I won't really dwell on that now. I've got another talk you might be interested in. But, you know, this Engel's pause, it took, you know, 60 years or so for the steam engine to make an impact. And if we look at electricity, I'm more of a tech guy, so I think about J.P. Morgan and Edison and lighting up, you know, New York City, and then Tesla and Niagara Falls. You can think of it that way. But I like Volta and Maxwell, so I added that. I think that's exactly right. But nevertheless, it took like 30 years or really longer. The Tennessee Valley Authority didn't wire up, you know, the Middle West until many years later, you know, and in other countries, in China, it'd be interesting to think about. When personal computers, in our lifetime, when the internet and personal computers came, you know, Solow, who was a Schumpeter student at Harvard, you know, it took a long time for the internet and the so-called J paradox and the J algorithm and so on. We invested a lot into the internet, into the networks and information technology before we got anything out of it. It took like, you know, 15 years. That's artificial intelligence. It's going to transform us in 5 years. It's doing it now. And I think Tommaso is absolutely right with us. We have to work on this now. It is urgent. Okay, hold on here. Now, let's see. Rick Stevens, I think some of you might know him. He's a thought leader at the Argonne Lab in the United States Department of Energy. We visited with him earlier on in a symposium we held at the University of Michigan. In about a year, AI can handle the majority of standard coding tests. We're seeing that. 60, 90% of the coders, they're disappearing. You know, we need to understand there's a difference between software engineering and coding, but this is happening. And this is about the two things that are happening right now, and we're going to talk about this in the afternoon. We are seeing the transformation of society with artificial intelligence and the attack on higher education. These two are colliding. We can't not separate those and should not separate those from one another. Because if you look, you know, and I think this is very reasonable, and we can see, you know, but look at the bottom, challenging how universities structure research collaboration and faculty roles. This is happening now. And so that 5 years, hold on a minute, let me finish and then we'll do questions. That 5 years, we don't have a whole lot of time, okay? There's Dr. Smale and Indika hanging out somewhere. And Indika in his laboratory is created a digital twin of his lab. And there's a robot that he's got. And you know, this one of his students, Josh Picard, came up with this. They published it. He's now up at the Broad and Harvard, MIT, and AI models. There's your math and the biological dynamics and the controllability. There's the different applications. He's transformed his whole lab. Our best scientists are doing this in the wet labs right now. We don't want to build any more labs. I tried to tell the people at Michigan, don't build any more buildings with laboratories in them, for Christ's sakes. Maybe one lab with 2 floors with robots might be better. Why? Because this is the future. So here's what I'm thinking about in terms of what I've heard as an outsider, you know, at this conference, which I've really, really enjoyed as an outsider. You know, the edge of chaos concept, we've all been around. I mean, I shared an office with, you know, Dr. Holland's students back in the day when I was a student at the University of Michigan, so I've been embedded in it the whole time. So I was happy to hear Professor Smale mention the genetic algorithm, which I grew up with. The education is where the action is. And as Professor Kukar was talking about the learning and the flocking models, I was Googling and learning that these are being applied right now to drones and to robots and all kinds of things, and soon to be artificial intelligence agents. It's happening now. We just heard about efficient computability implies compositional sparsity, and the latter implies the existence of learnable representation. The whole idea of connecting mathematics with learning in that 2000 paper. The Blumps, it's just been fun to see you guys again and learn about that. And I was busy, Googling the alternative theories, and, especially since I'm also a psychiatry professor, I was interested in that with understanding. But nevertheless, there's a whole lot there. And this idea of the world model is so important. I was trying to pull up a lecture I gave on the world models in my course last term. Absolutely critical. Long and short-term memory. This is putting the generative AI in a broader context, which is bound to be the right context. That I think justifies the statement that AI consciousness is inevitable. And that is really something deep. And then the memristus, that was fun. It's me as a former electrical engineer. But the necessity for neurotropic computing, which has been lagging behind, which had its origins out here at Pasadena 30-some years ago, with Carver Mead and those kind of people. And then Professor Smale himself, shared by Michael, real number machines, this idea of real interactions with the environment, which was really a different way of restating the world model, is really the key, I think, to a broader context. And then thinking about the modeling and understanding of human intelligence is just shared by Michael. I mentioned the attack on higher ed. We've always wondered about the endless frontier. It's over. It is over. It is being destroyed right now. This special place is under threat. And so I encourage us, when we talk about McCarthyism, think about what's happening now. I've been talking to Dr. Xuan, who came here at Berkeley to give a talk, Rethinking Clark Kerr, Uses of the University in the Age of Generative AI. All I can tell you is I texted Dr. Xuan, and I'll be talking with him about this meeting tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, I went over. I didn't mean it. I tried. Did you have a question now?
I could not understand what you said, what your point was. I am sorry, could you explain it?
Yes. I think that we're in the, I think in a word, this conference, which is thinking about big ideas and the connection between mathematics and computer science, should be thought of in a broader context of what's happening in society and how we, as scientists and mathematicians, have a responsibility to lead others appropriately. That would be my statement. We must.
Must do what?
We must communicate what we know to others now.
Let's have a lunch.
How about lunch, Luca? Michael, thanks for sharing.